Hello. Well, here I am again. I'm a bit closer to home for us at the moment, Woodland Park. Just come on a bike ride up the hill. It's jolly hard work at this altitude. Do you want to see the view? I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's mountains in the distance there, and towards the sun is Pikes Peak, but it's a bit sunny there. So the reason why Andy and I keep putting posts of videos up is not because we like hearing our own voice or because we think we're wonderful, but there's so much negative and bad news going around at the moment. We just want to help all the other people, just flood the internet with positive and good news, and we realise that there's so much power in our words. I know last time I was saying that we have a choice between life and death. The Bible also says that in our tongue is life or death. We can speak life or we can speak death. And so we just want to, encourage you. I know Andy's put some jokes on, but we just also want to share with you thoughts that we've had to encourage you at this time. Yeah, in the Bible it says that anxiety can actually lead to depression, and I'm sure we all know people that are struggling with kind of mental health, and it has an impact on their physical health. And I know at the moment a lot of us are jolly keen to protect ourselves physically and keeping ourselves from this virus. But I suppose I asked the question, how are we doing at looking after ourselves inside our hearts? How are we doing at looking after our thoughts? And it's a bit like when we feed ourselves healthy food, we get a fitter physical body, and when we feed ourselves junk, our bodies suffer. And it's exactly the same in our minds, and I see this more and more, that if we kind of expose our minds to negative things and to people around us that are negative, then it has an impact on what we think, has an impact on our hearts, has an impact on our mental health. So yes, it's really important that we expose our minds to things that are good. And I had this picture of this farm. If you imagine a farm, and outside there's various animals in the fields, and then you've got this farmhouse, and I kind of imagined that the farmland outside was a bit like the world. There's all sorts of things, mixture of beauty and mixture of things that aren't so nice. And then if you imagine that the house is like your mind, like what I'd call your soul. So your soul is your thoughts, your will, your emotions. And I saw this picture of someone going out into the dirty, muddy paddock and getting the pig, this dirty pig, and leading it into their house and going, there you go, into your house, and letting this pig just roam around inside their house and kind of cause chaos. Now don't read into this picture too much, because I know some of you go, well, pigs can be very clean, and I like pigs. Don't read into it too much, just get the gist of it. But some of us are doing that with our minds. We're letting things just come into our minds and kind of rule in our minds that really we shouldn't be at all. And for some of us, that pig is a bit like the coronavirus. We're kind of going, we're looking out, we see the coronavirus is in the world, and we're going, come into my mind and dominate my every thought. And some of us are letting that pig go into our bedrooms, like we can't sleep at night because we're thinking about it so much. Some of us are letting it kind of in the kitchen. Some of us are even feeding this pig in our mind, so to speak, in the house, and fattening it up even more, so it's dominating even more. So I just use that as an amusing illustration, just to kind of get us to think about what we're giving our attention to at this time. And it is easy to do that because there's so much around us kind of pointing towards the coronavirus, but there are ways to kind of measure that really and balance it out a bit. So here's my first one. The news. You don't have to watch the news. Do you know that? I used to think that to be kind of a fully grown, kind of sensible grown-up, you had to watch the news every day, but you don't have to watch the news. The news is bent on bad news. It's just bad news all the time. And if they have one bit of good news, they counteract it with 10 bits of bad news. They focus on negative, and they're sensationalists. They love to kind of make a big thing of things. And I'm not saying kind of ignore everything that's going on, but just like, check yourself. Like, how much are you watching the news? And I know I've spoken to a couple of people the last couple of days who are just saying they've actually had to say to themselves, you know, I'm not going to watch the news, or I'm only going to watch it kind of once every couple of days, because I don't want it dominating my thoughts. And, you know, if you want to know what's going on in the world, there are other ways of finding out without the filter of the news, so to speak, the people that are trying to sell and get viewings. So one of the things I've been doing is just every now and then I'll look at the stats on the coronavirus. So just look up, you can Google it, what are the latest stats. But if I do that, then I try and dilute it or kind of balance it by looking at some other stats. So you know, you can look at positive stats or negative stats just to balance it out. So here's one, for example. The World Health Organization estimate that 150,000 babies are aborted every day. 150,000 babies every day in the world are aborted. And you just think, hang on a minute, this coronavirus doesn't seem so bad. Another one just to throw out there is the last 5 years, every year in England, they've estimated that 17,000 people have died of the common flu. And when you hear those stats, you suddenly think, okay, this isn't so bad. It's not as kind of, excuse me, it just balances out a little bit. And again, I'm not saying the coronavirus isn't real. I'm not saying that it's not killing people and it's not affecting people, but just be wise in, I suppose, what you're giving your attention to and what you're letting rule in your heart. And so here's another kind of remedy for it, which is one we've been trying to practice. And as I say this, I'm kind of preaching to myself. I need to hear this, and Angie and I need to hear this. We need this for our family, but I hope it kind of encourages you as well. So there's this wonderful verse in 1 Thessalonians 5 that says, rejoice always, pray continually, and give thanks in all circumstances. It's not saying give thanks for all circumstances, it's saying give thanks in all circumstances. So that's one way to kind of combat some of the negativity that you might have in your mind and the anxiety and fear. Start giving thanks. Say, God, you know, if you don't believe in God, just give thanks anyway. I believe in God, so I'm saying, God, thank you for my bed, thank you that I have a home to live in, thank you for my children, thank you for food, thank you for fresh water. Focus on positive things. And there's another passage in the Bible in Philippians 4 that says, whatever is noble, whatever is true, whatever is trustworthy, whatever is praiseworthy, think of such things, kind of meditate on those things, kind of focus on those things. And again, I'm not saying, you know, just be this like person that's just always positive all the time and ignore the needs of the world. I'm not saying that, but we can balance out a little bit of what we're being kind of bombarded with around us, and that will overflow and have an impact on other people if we're kind of looking after the health of our minds. So another thought is that, and this is kind of well, speaking to the Christians, but it's also speaking to people that aren't believers. Excuse me again, it's because it's windy up here. In Hebrews 6, it talks about how Jesus dying on the cross is an anchor for our souls. Imagine that picture of an anchor, and what he bought for us on the cross. So forgiveness, just deliverance, healing, peace, unending, life eternal, joy, all those things. That's an anchor for our soul. We can rely on that. And again, it's the same sort of theme that if you are feeling anxious, you can anchor yourself on Jesus. You can anchor yourself on that. And some of us are anchoring ourselves on the wrong things. You know, we're anchoring ourselves on what the news tells us. We're anchoring ourselves on the last positive thing that someone said to us. We're anchoring ourselves on the mood of our children. Now that is dangerous. Oh my goodness. And I bet those of you that got children know all about your children at the moment because you've got them all the time. Don't anchor yourselves on your children, on the mood of the children, because you'll just be tossed around like the wind. But anchor yourself on Jesus. He's the only one that will stay put, that stays steadfast. His promises are trustworthy. So so just a few bits of encouragement, really. I've probably gone on a bit long. I'm going on for 10 minutes, aren't I? So just fill your thoughts, just counteract some of the bad news with some good things, some positive things. There's lots of ways to do that. One just little tip for those kind of families out there, believers, which we just started doing every now and then, is sharing communion together as a family. every day you could do it. You know, share communion together. It doesn't matter how young your children is. It's just a moment to remind yourself of who Jesus is and what he's done for us. And it's a great way to kind of encourage the family and to kind of fix your focus on things that are good and positive. So I'll pray for you again. I want to bless you, love you, and just speak life over you again. There's just a car coming, so it might make a bit of noise. Yeah, I want to, with my tongue, I speak life over you. I don't speak death, I don't speak curses, I speak blessings. So yeah, in Jesus' name, God, I just pray that anyone that's listening now that just feels like they're being tossed around a bit by the wind and by all that's going on around them, God, I pray by your Spirit that you would help them to fix their thoughts on things that are good, that are positive, to see the things they can give thanks in. And God, I pray that they would anchor themselves on you, anchor themselves on Jesus. And if they've never anchored themselves on Jesus, I pray they'd do it for the first time, because it's so easy. It costs nothing. It costs you nothing to be a believer. Do you know that? It costs Jesus everything. Heaven was bankrupt for you. It costs you nothing. All you have to do is reach out and say, God, I need you. I believe in Jesus. I accept him. Forgive me for the stuff I've done wrong. Just receive his grace. So it does cost everything to become a disciple, but that's another talk. So anyhow, bless you. Be encouraged. And yeah, bye.